Okay, pop up Google. Gotta get some research done for a video project. Okay, right here, A.L.I.C.E kit and okay, woodland. I've already got the pack and OD, so don't need that. A.L.I.C.E Ruck and Marpat, and this one is a little more modern. Not a big fan of knockoffs. Reproduction, it's maybe I got enough clips in inventory. Lockable LARP bundle. Not a big fan of German issued. I've got an original. Ooh. US made Greek lizard type M56M chest rig. Looks nice, but $149? Jesus Christ. I am not buying that shit. German butt pack, Black Hawk one, wish I had one from Tears of the Sun still. And a classic knockoff of a Black Hawk chest rig. Okay, keep going down. Army Navy Outdoors. Some seriously cool shit. Ooh, got job for another project. Seen that video. Got it. A lot of the bushcraft shit. Okay, 6093. Go Army Navy. Fox Outdoor Products. I'll have to look more into them later. Amazon, definitely gonna do that. Wikipedia, here we go. Okay, and let's see. All-purpose lightweight individual carrying equipment. Yes, that's 73. Have to read more into this. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Yeah. I'm just going to say fuck it. I'll make the video. Okay, this is Big Boss from Foxhound Woods Ball, coming to you from Fort Lauderdale, and from my blog page over at outerheavenpaintball.blogspot.com. I'm also repping the guys over at Acid Tactical, so you can check them out at acidtactical.com. Anyway, this is going to be a 3-part series as far as the overall A.L.I.C.E gear, your all-purpose lightweight individual carry equipment. We're going to be talking about certain segments in each video. First the web gear, then we're going to be talking about its midpoint successor before Molly came along, the integrated individual fighting system, and then we're going to top it off with talking about the A.L.I.C.E rucksacks. Now, that being said, I've covered some of this stuff before, but I'm going to try and go to great lengths on the particular kit that we're talking about now, A.L.I.C.E, especially the web gear portion for this particular article and video. We're going to be discussing its history, the pouches, as well as a few other little things here and there, its aftermarket components, and anything and everything in between. But first, a word from our friends and sponsors over at acidtactical.com. You can check them out at acidtactical.com. And remember, when the shit hits the fan and you've got to trust your gear with your life, ask yourself this one question: can your gear survive the acid test? We'll be back right after this.
A.L.I.C.E, the all-purpose lightweight individual carrying equipment. This stuff is also called the M72 gear, Deuce gear, 782 gear, and was a direct evolution off of the M1967 gear seen here, which was designed and sent piecemeal to Vietnam to address the deficiencies with this gear, the M1956 load-bearing equipment. The A.L.I.C.E gear went on to serve in Grenada, which was its first combat action, with the rebuilding and restructuring of American military forces after Vietnam. As you can see, these served with Rangers in Grenada, Panama here in 1989 with Operation Just Cause after Noriega did his shit. We went in, and this can show a very steady evolution to this right through Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm. This equipment has seen the American warfighters through even long after into Somalia for Operation Restore Hope, as well as NATO operations in Eastern Europe with Bosnia, Herzegovina, Kosovo, and well into the early days of the GWOT, the Global War on Terror. Even when its successor was coming in, the A.L.I.C.E gear was still fighting and still fighting on. If not with American forces, then allies we gave it to.
Okay, I hope that little video explanation was not as boring as I've been told that my stuff could be sometimes, but I will say for a lot of my videos, you've really got to be a student of history to have a full appreciation for this stuff. Now, as I said, the A.L.I.C.E gear was an evolution off the M1967 load-bearing equipment that was delivered to the troops piecemeal during the Vietnam War in its mid to final phases. With that being said, a lot of the deficiencies of that particular system and its mainline predecessor, the M1956 gear, were showing themselves to be apparent, especially in the jungles of Vietnam because of its high humidity, and the materials used in the M1956 gear was abysmal when looking at it in retrospect. The cotton canvas material broke down a lot easier in the subtropical climates of Vietnam, and that became the switch to nylon with the M1967 kit, as well as a few other things that were delivered piecemeal. But when it came down to the M1972 kit, what would become A.L.I.C.E, you had a lot of evolution on that one as far as what materials are used. A lot of stuff from the M56 that worked went back into the M72. A lot of stuff from the M67 went into the M72, and so on and so forth. Now, with that, let's get into talking the belts, because I got a couple different setups here for this one. Do not mind this particular setup. This one is for an article that's coming down the line. But anyway, let's discuss the belts. Now, with the belts, originally this was going to be based on the M1956 belt because it was proven to be superior to the M1967, which was this particular buckle design. As you can see, this particular buckle has been around since the M1910 gear. It served American troops well from both World Wars, Korea, as well as Vietnam. So it was one of those, if it ain't broke, don't fix it things. But a lot of guys still didn't like this particular belt because it would come apart a little too easily. Not as easy as the M1967, but you get the idea. Fast forward to what would be late 70s, early 80s. And then you get this particular belt. This one became the iconic A.L.I.C.E belt made by Bianchi. Bianchi was a major military contractor. This is considered the open face buckle design. As you can see, opening it up with this one, slide in like so, locks in. This one was the icon. This one was the thing used by American troops in Grenada, Panama, Desert Storm, Somalia. Stockpiles of this were still around well into the early days of the global war on terror. Before, well, it was still being phased out when this particular belt buckle design. Now, keep in mind, this is a Condor military issue pistol belt, but same concept. This one happens to have the Fastech style quick release buckle, which has been a standard for years since the mid 90s. You'll still find these come in large and various other sizes for all your needs. This particular one is going to be medium only, so keep that in mind if you're looking for a good solid pistol belt. With that being said, we can also take a look at the suspenders for the A.L.I.C.E system. Now, I got two different examples here. Your aftermarket H harness, which was still in military inventories. A lot of guys were still finding these on surplus sites well into the early to mid 90s, early 2000s even, because it works. It was a throwback from the Vietnam M1976 H harness, which a lot of guys still liked because it was more of a stable rig. Then we got your Y harness here, which this one is. This one was made to be more simplistic and not be as cumbersome to adjust when you're adjusting to an individual soldier. You adjust it, you tape it down if you need to, bada bing, bada boom, you're set. Now, a quick thing to go back to the belts real quick. As you notice on this older generation, this Bianchi style belt, you've got these rows of eyelets going along the belt. This was to keep the belt compatible with the old M1910 hanger system, which the U.S. military was still using well into the early days of the global war on terror, though parts were being phased out little by little. In World War II, you still had the canteen pouches, first aid kits were using that system, same in Korea. Vietnam became the major switch, though a lot of the M1910 hanger components, like the canteen pouches especially, were still being used in Vietnam, more particularly LARP and SOG teams. They were using them if they're using a BAR belt for magazines, for the AR-15s. They were using those BAR belts for 20-round AR mags, but using the older canteen pouches so they could put extra magazines, grenades, shit like that. So those still had some staying power even then. The last item to be using that particular system was the M7 bayonet and its M8A scabbard. So I'll throw some pictures up of that stuff in a second. So let's see what they look like. Yeah, I know. Those were a little on the touch and go deal. They seem like they won't hold out that well. Believe me, I've seen some aftermarket civilian made crap like that when I did my first run in leadership school. One of them fell apart on this poor guy, and I felt kind of bad for him, but at the same time, it taught me a valuable lesson why military spec always works, especially when you're talking field kit. But going on from that, we'll be dropping the civilian rig that is going to be for something down the line. Now, let's focus on the actual A.L.I.C.E rig that you got here. All components of this are going to be made from nylon. I believe it's a 500 or 1000 Cador nylon. known for its ability to hold up to a lot of abuse, especially on the field. Magazine pouches in particular here are direct evolutions off the old M1967 magazine pouches, especially the 30 round ones. They deleted the strap on here because you got a strap that's going to hook into the eyelet on the back of the pouch to connect your load bearing suspenders. Other than that, the pinch clip is still the same. The addition to it was the hand grenade carriers. The way they carry the hand grenades, they were no longer carrying it on the spoon clip because a lot of guys got worried about that particular clip being faulty sometimes and leading to accidental detonation of grenades. So a lot of guys didn't want to carry grenades on there like that. So a lot of guys would like this kind because it was safer, but that's more a matter of opinion on how you carry your hand grenades before the MOLLE pouches came along. The pinch clip closure, same thing as the original M1967. That one hasn't really changed. Plastic enforcements on the front and the back to keep it shape. Now, it comes with 3 dividers, but I usually cut those things out because these pouches have shown themselves to be quite universal. Originally, they were designed to hold 3 30-round Stanag mags, which would become the standard for all American weapons as well as NATO across the board. 30-round magazines for 5.56. So your M16s, your HK models like your 416, your Tavors, all those kind that would accept the same magazine that the American M16 would carry would work. And here, though, they were designed mainly for the GI standard. However, if you guys find ones that look like this without these grenade holders that could carry AK mags, those were particularly made for government contract, either to American non-NATO allies that still ran the AK-47 series or other AK derivatives as their standard service weapon. But it wouldn't be a shocker if some of those pouches were also used by the US SOCOM, especially for operators that would use an AK as their primary weapon on covert actions. But I digress on that one. Let me pop up a picture or two of it. So okay, you guys got the idea about that particular AK pouch. If I could get my hands on a couple of them, I will, and I will review them. But other than that, open this thing up. You can remove the dividers in here and turn this into a GP pouch. But me, I'm running pods. This can run 75 to 100 round paintball pods depending upon their manufacturer. This one in particular is marked as a 75. I'm not sure if this will come up well on the camera. And this one was made by Viewloader. You can find these a dime a dozen just about anywhere. These particular generic black pods, these were made by companies like 32 Degrees and a few others. These would be more around a little taller than the Viewloader one. These will not fit well in these magazine pouches. These would definitely be made more for a pouch that was developed to work with an AK-47 rather than an AR-15. So this particular pod would be a no-go in this pouch. Aside from holding 3 Stanag mags, this can hold 2 20-round mags of 7.62 by 51 NATO for your FALs, your G3s, your SCAR 17s, M14s. Those magazines will fit in this without a problem. 20-round AK mags for your AMD 65. I would say would fit in there, but I do not have 20 round AK mags. I do not have an AMD65, so I can't tell you with absolute certainty, but overall these pouches work like a dream, especially if you're running AR mags or 75 round paintball pods, depending. Compass first aid pouch on top here. This is a throwback to your M56 version. This is probably the last piece of the M1956 gear that would still be in the US inventory. This one in particular is a civilian made version in woodland camo made in South Korea. Got this out in Army Navy, but I digress on that one. This is nothing real complicated about this. Just a simple pouch. You could use this for small items. Generally speaking, guys would put battle dressing in there, a lensatic compass, and dummy cord onto their rig. If you're playing airsoft, this kind of pouch would be great for a dead rag. Paintball players, you can do the same thing if you're doing particular scenario events. So note that you've already been treated by the medic in some scenarios. You can also carry a radio in here. This one is a Motorola Talkabout T5000. I can't believe that I still got this after all these years and it still works. But as you can see, popped in. Works pretty good, but I would definitely recommend zip tying this thing in place just for added security, or putting in, we're using paracord. Malice clips would also be a good option. I'll explain that one later, but as you can see, this is actually the way I used to carry my equipment way back when. I used to use this pouch for a radio pouch. But let's move on from there. Let's flip this thing over. Now, talking about the butt pack first off. This butt pack is not U.S. military issued. This butt pack is actually a commercially made one made by Blackhawk. If you guys are complete gearheads, you'll notice this butt pack was used in the movie Tears of the Sun, Bruce Willis, Monica Bellucci, even a very young Cole Hauser for all you guys that watch Yellowstone. So, with that being said, this one is actually a damn good improvement over the M1956 model, which canvas versions were replaced with nylon ones with the M67 kit. But I digress. This one has the hard points at the top and on the bottom, so that way you could lash in other items like a ranger roll, shit like that. You've got mounting options on here for additional A.L.I.C.E kit if you need it. So if you're a paintball player, you could put your air tank on here or put it in the butt pack. You could have additional items on here that are needed. As you can see, open this thing up with the Fastech style quick release buckles, which are great for all butt packs. Pretty good rain guard collar up here. You got your cover up here. I've got to treat this thing with waterproofing stuff for rain protection before I go out to the field using this shit. But you got that. You got a nice little carry handle on here for carrying it like a everyday bag. Make this into a sling with a GP strap, or use it like this. But that's usually it. Canteen pouches, definitely improvement over what was around with the M1910 set. This one is definitely a mix of both the M56 and M67 designs. This one being a better standard with nylon instead of the cotton canvas. Got a Velcro pouch on here for your iodine tablets. And unlike the M1967 kit, which used plastic snaps, the M1956 and the M1972 gear, which is this one, use metal snaps. To open up, you got the ability to hold a 1-quart canteen. You got a synthetic fur liner on here designed to keep the canteen cold in the high heat conditions or keep it from freezing in lower temperature, but that one is debatable. I don't really work in cold weather climates, so I can't really judge on that one. Other than that, this is pretty much your basic combat rig in a nutshell. As far as the configuration goes, depending upon the size of person you are, a basic infantry loadout would be 6 magazines broken up between 2 of these magazine pouches and 4 M1972 fragmentation grenades, 2 canteens, the butt pack, the first aid / compass pouch, and maybe an e-tool carrier. But we do have other items that do work for this stuff. So let me reconfigure this thing and we'll be right back.
Okay, I mentioned a lot about how canteen pouches can be repurposed, especially by elite units that did it during Vietnam, but for us paintball players, here's a little thing you can do. You can hold anything up to a 16-ounce compressed air tank in a GI standard canteen pouch, as you're seeing on screen. You can use a thing of shock cord and a cord lock to keep the tank locked in place, and that thing will not go anywhere and provide a secure platform for you. A direct carryover from both the M1956 and M1967 load carrying equipment systems respectively are these slide keepers, more commonly referred to today as A.L.I.C.E clips. These are what allowed the pouches to be so modular, but there was a very serious drawback to them, i.e. they'd create hot spots on the user's body and would create sores and blisters, and if those became infected, then that could lead to serious health issues down the line for guys. So what they did was they'd use something like this, these belt pads, to help fix that, and in some cases they would even replace the A.L.I.C.E keepers entirely with either paracord, zip ties, or when the Molly kit was coming out, they would use something like malice clips.
Okay, swapped over from the magazine pouches to the machine gunner pouches. You'll find these called small ammunition case, small arm, 200 rounds. Now, these things were developed as a result of how machine gunners carried their stuff during Vietnam. Mainly, if you understand your history, you look at how machine gunners and LARP teams, SOG units, they'd use the canteen pouches to carry their belts with machine gun ammo because it was a quieter means and it was a more secure means instead of having the belts draped over their chest like they were infantry. But I digress on that one. These things were part of the system. And these ones I got in today, these are actually brand new, GI issued, because you got the US stenciled on here. Now, open these things up. As you can see how these things are hooked in. You got an A.L.I.C.E clip here and here, plus you got the belt loop here for it to keep the pouch secure because of the weight of what this thing was designed to carry. Just like with the magazine pouch, you got a eyelet up here to secure with the hooks and suspenders. Now, this pouch was designed to hold a box of 200 rounds disintegrating linked belt of 5.56 by 45 millimeter NATO for your FN Mini-Me, which is adopted by the military as the M249 squad automatic weapon, or 100 rounds of disintegrating linked belt of 7.62 by 51 NATO for your M60 machine gun and the FN Mag which the military adopted as the M240. With that being said, this pouch is pretty spacious. A lot of guys would take something like this, and hell, this is pretty much what a modern day IFAK pouch looks like as far as its dimensions go. Basically, nice plastic inserts on the sides keep this thing intact as far as its shape goes. You can hold that belt loose or in the box for your saw guns, and there's enough space in here to be actual machine gunner pouch. But for us paintball players, how would we use this item for our needs? Well, let's open up this one. If you're a magazine fed player like I am now, you can haul 4 20-round 68 caliber magazines in here. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 20-round 68 caliber magazines. I tried fitting in 5, would not work. You can haul about 5, maybe 6 30-round Stanag AR mags in here. But for all you guys that operate, I should say, you guys are in good hands too. I got 2 32 degrees 75 or 100 round pods in here. Pouch opens with the strip of Velcro, snap closure, very good. But just to give you guys an idea about how many you can actually get in here, I've got 3 view loader pods right here. So as you can see, 1, 2, which can fit, and let's fit that third one in here. This one's going to be a bit of a nightmare to do, but it is possible. As you can see, you can fit the third one in. Make sure the hinges on here are turned in to accommodate one another. Get that flap down. This thing may not snap, but as you can see, 3 100 round 375 round pods in here. Get this thing down, and I could just get that snap done. So there we go on that one. You can get 2 to 3 pods in here depending upon who makes them. Keep that one in mind. So as you can see, there is that for this. You got enough room in here to definitely have a lot of tactical fun on here. But the A.L.I.C.E gear is also one serious aftermarket and other pouches as well. So let's see what we got.
Okay, all this stuff is part of the A.L.I.C.E system overall, but I don't have it in my gear collection right now. Starting off, we've got their improved entrenching tool. This is a far cry from what they had in Vietnam. The biggest improvements are that the shovel is a folding one, as well as the container that's used in to be more plasticky and more resilient. The next one is going to be an improved first aid kit. Now this is a far cry from today's IFAKs, and all it is a pouch with a hard plastic box that has all the medical amenities in there. So for guys that play paintball, airsoft, you can use something like this for odds and ends, something that you need protected at all costs. Next one is going to be the cool option. Now, you can find these as rubber training versions or the genuine article. This is what the United States Army and particularly adopted. This is the M9 bayonet. This can go on your M16s or M4s. It's got a similar mounting system to our next item, which will be made by the company Bianchi International. Now, Bianchi International came out with this. This is the UM-84, Universal Model 1984. United States military across the board adopted it as the M12 holster. This thing was way ahead of its time. You could swap the flap to make the holster left-handed or right-hand friendly, so it's completely ambidextrous. Bad side, you cannot mount lights or lasers on this thing, but that was beside the point. And it was very modular for its time with a drop leg platform, as you see right here. You could also have it with a basic thumb brake setup to increase your cut back on your draw time. This also came with two different versions of a shoulder holster rig. Your more chest-mounted shoulder holster type and your under-the-arm shoulder type, which is shown right now. Be that as it may, this holster system was pretty revolutionary for its time. There has been some gear made in other camo patterns that are US pattern. Some of them are genuine US issue, but more or less they were limited releases into the inventory, one reason or another. However, considering the vast aftermarket of A.L.I.C.E gear, as you see pictured right here, there are a great deal of American-made kit that was not standard U.S. issue, but made to very specific U.S. military specifications. A lot of that was sent overseas for war aid to other countries. Others were actually direct copies by our own allies because they loved it so much. This example right here, as far as I know, was Spanish military issue, but I will say, be forewarned, you will find a lot of knockoffs, even those that are made under contract for the commercial market. You will also have stuff that's made in China or in other places, so make sure that any items have like a national stock number or U.S. military markings on them to show their legitimacy.
Alright, that completes our look at the A.L.I.C.E web gear system at this point. If you guys like what you're seeing, don't forget to leave a like, comment, share this video around. If you guys want to read the written article of this, check out the article for it at outerheavenpaintball.blogspot.com. A link will be in the description to this video. Don't forget to check me out on Teespring. And finally, if you guys need gear for your Molly's rigs, you need rail accessories for your ARs, AKs, whatever, check out my friends over at acidtactical.com. And remember, when the shit hits the fan, you gotta trust your gear with your life. Ask yourself this one question: can your gear survive the acid test? Anyway, links are going to be in the description to this video. This is Big Boss, and I'm out of here.